What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter. This time we have the myth, the man, the legend himself, Aso Akiro. What is up?
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for having me on the show. Big fan. Have been here many times in the living room, behind the computer, behind the screen. So thanks for having me again.
Absolutely, man. Super glad to have you. And in this episode, we are going to be going over quite a few things, guys. We are going to be going over the events of UFC 286. And the biggest thing is we are going to be going over what is next for these folks. But before we get into that, you know we got to go through everybody's favorite part of the show, the Kinda Okay Parlay. MMAnomaly presents the Kinda Okay Parlay. Another week. So close. So close. So Jalen, I mean, now that you're actually here, let's go ahead and show the folks here what the parlay looked like this time around. So again, my pick, Marvin Vettori, money line. We had Emiliano Jive Turkey Nano's pick, Brian Barberena bringing us in with the big plus odds money line. Man, he looked good for as long as it lasted. And then we had, last but certainly not least, we had your pick. We had Jack Shore coming in hot. What did you think of your guys' performance?
Big time. I mean, the performance was already kind of what was expected. I mean, that was the security blanket, right? I wanted to be a little bit twisty. I wanted to see if Maya wanted to do something to the Kinda Okay Parlay, but that would just add spice to the Kinda Okay Parlay. So, I mean, it's expected. There's nothing left for me to say other than the dub's a dub. We got it in. We're just going to take this Kinda Okay Parlay and move forward and see what Shorzy, I should say, has up next for us.
I was super excited about that performance, man. I'm a big Makwan Amirkhani fan. I think he has hands down, arguably the best picture on all of Tapology. Him surrounded by the beautiful women. You can't hate on that guy.
Can't hate on the flair. No, not at all.
Can't hate on the flair. That being said, I think it may be time for him to either switch camps or hang him up. He's, I think, like 4-5 in his last 9 fights. That's not a great look. And his stamina has been a constant point of conversation and question. And it's always a topic of concern for him going into these fights. And we've seen it happen time and time again. That being said, your boy Jack Shore put on a war. He made it nasty. He made it gritty, and he put that work on him. I loved it. And of course, you know, my guy went out there. He got it done. Marvin Vettori. My gosh.
Ooh.
Like, he definitely had the powers of an orc on that night, man. He was eating shots that no man should be able to eat. Let's be completely honest here. Like, they definitely train him different down in Mordor. I think we all know that. And just another beautiful night at the office for Marvin the Orc Vettori. Let's set the mood. Let's throw some background music on here. There we go. So again, the Kinda Okay Parlay did not hit. We're already cooking up some magic in the kitchen right now. We are going to have a really good one for you guys coming into this next fight card. We have a really solid fight card coming up, but that is another conversation for another episode. Again, the Kinda Okay Parlay did not hit. The other dog, or I was going to say elephant in the room, but it's really a dog in the room that has to be addressed here. The Dogs Parlay. I mean, I literally bet on every way that the fights didn't go. Leon Edwards to win by KO, TKO, DQ, or submission. Leon Edwards actually won the fight. The only way I didn't put a bet on him to win the fight in which the way of he won. So that sucked. And again, Makwan Amirkhani, I knew that was just burning money, but it happens. You know, it would have been fun if it didn't. So there we go. That didn't hit. But we live to see another day. We live to bet another day, and we are going to hammer down on some real good ones this coming week, like I said. So the whole point of this episode is to go over the biggest winners in our opinion and what we think should be next for these guys and gals. So without further ado, we are going to jump into a little segment that I like to call Looking Ahead. So again, there was a lot of big winners on this one. Usually I only do like a handful of these, but I feel like we could really talk about almost the entire card. There were a lot of really, really big winners here. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you lead out the warpath here. Who do you want to start off with?
I was going to say, we could segue great into Vettori, but I mean, just the fights before, we already had like Veronica Hardy with her win, unanimous decision. The draw in the second fight of the main card, it definitely threw me off a little bit, seeing Joanne Wood. But I mean, let's go with Vettori, just because you already lined up Mordor's finest over here. Vettori came out hot. If you look at the stats, I'm a big number guy, so if you look at Vettori here, he had 106 strikes going into the third round over Roman's 71. He just came out aggressive. He had a game plan. It was solid. So who do you think is going to be his next opponent?
You know, I think the realistic person that it should be is the winner of Adesanya and Alex Pereira. I think he has done everything he needs to do to earn a title shot, and I'm convinced that he beats anyone in that weight class not named Israel Adesanya and or Bobby Knuckles. Like, let's call a spade. He's leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. He's one of the great gatekeepers. He's the Caitlin Chukagian of middleweight.
That's a great comparison. I'm not gonna lie. He's yet to ride the high tide, but he's always been in the lows. He's familiar with both. He's flirted. He's been on the fence for so long. So I think that momentum could really carry him into the next bout. So I don't see that his next opponent would not be Izzy or Pereira. But I mean, I'd like to throw in my opinion here. What about Khamzat, dude? Like, Khamzat's right there. Don't count him out. Just because Bobby Knuckles has been slotted for this title shot, I mean, yeah, he's took some time off. 2022 has been kind of rocky for the man, but he has some dubs under his belt. He has gone the distance. He's shown that he could still last. That wear and tear is nowhere near to his longevity within the rest of his career. But what do you think about Khamzat being a potential opponent for him?
You know, I'm not mad at that. Again, like, that would be the most Caitlin Chukagian thing they could do to him. Let's be completely honest here. If they give him Khamzat, like, and again, is that fair to say that is it fair to say with that statement that you'd rather see Khamzat fight at 185 than 170? I mean, he missed weight by 9 pounds last time he fought at 170. So,
which was my next point. Yeah, it was just so hard for him to already meet the mark. Like, just go natural where the tide is already taking you. Just because the Bobby Knuckles narrative has been running for so long now, he goes in for the title, and then Khamzat then becomes a primary for Vettori, whether Vettori and Khamzat gets the winner or loser of Izzy and Pereira. So you basically have those going in parallel. It's just winner, winner, loser, loser at that bracket at that point.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I mean, God, that's a tough test for Khamzat. I mean, literally, like, I'm trying to think, like, is Marvin Vettori like a bigger, stronger Gilbert Burns? Kinda. He's like Gilbert Burns that's more inclined to do things on the feet than on the ground.
Yes.
But he has the wrestling pedigree too.
Like you said, the way they train them in Mordor is really different. So to see the untouchable go against the one that has touched is going to be a real good matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, but before we move on from Marvin Vettori, I mean, like, I heard he was even doing some cross training. Like, he left Mordor and actually went to to Thailand after that big loss. Yeah. One thing that actually like really stood out to me was, I don't know if you caught this on the commentary, but Michael Bisping actually noted that after his loss to Bobby Knuckles, he said he ran into him backstage, and he said Marvin Vettori completely like put his ego on the table, walked up to Michael Bisping and was just devastated. And he's like, you know, you've been a champion. You've been through tough losses. He's like, this is my first time this has ever happened to me. He was better than me tonight everywhere. I don't know what to do. Like, he felt defeated. He'd never felt like somebody like even when he lost to Adesanya, it was a close fight. But Robert Whittaker was just like, he had his number everywhere. So for a fighter to feel that way, you have to make a change. And he did. He literally, like, he left Italy. He left his original training camps that he's been at. He went to Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand, did part of his camp there, like, and it showed. He threw more kicks in the first round than he probably thrown in his entire UFC career up until then. And I'm not mad at it. Those body kicks were nasty. Those leg kicks were nasty. He looked great. So was very, very happy to see it. And again, I think he would be a horrible matchup for Alex Pereira because he wouldn't have the background, the emotion, the history going into the fight. It would just be literally Brazil versus Mordor. And I mean, they're tough in Brazil, but they're orcs in Mordor. So before I hammer that joke into the ground completely, we will go ahead and move on to the next fight. What was another fight? I know one fight that you mentioned whenever we first started here was the newly named Veronica Hardy.
Dude, yeah.
Dude,
what happened?
What happened to her?
I don't know. Let's look at the stats. The stats over here are already on one-sided. It's kind of ridiculous over here.
It was bad.
Yeah. So you have,
and wholeheartedly, like full disclosure, I put Juliana Killer Miller on my DraftKings, and I didn't have her on my DraftKings up until the morning of the fights. I literally took off Muhammad Makayev and put her on, and boy, was that stupid.
What was the inkling there? What sold you? What was the game changer, the combo breaker?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I had a dream the night before the fights that Muhammad Makayev got flash KO'd in the third round. That did not happen. He instead got his knees bent backwards and still somehow won. What a freaking stud. But we'll get into that in a minute. So Veronica Hardy, she looked like an entirely new fighter. Typically, that's not what you see when you see a fighter take 3 years off. You don't see him come back and, in significant strikes, outland their opponent 2-1, who was I believe, a plus 500 Vegas or minus 500 Vegas odds to win. So what's next?
What's next for Veronica Hardy? I mean, to have that level of entertainment and to have that level of knowledge that she displayed, I mean, you have 62 strikes, like you said, 2-1, 4 takedowns, the level changes, the kind of utilization that she did around the area that she was working with. I mean, it's a whole new fighter. So if you look at it, I would love to see her run it back with Bea, just because that was already a sound fight. Bea outworking her round to round. They went the full distance, but she definitely got outperformed on the striking game. So just to have Veronica Hardy's utilization come back and to have this storyline could really catapult her into the next level.
I definitely think you're right. If Malecki is still in the UFC, which she hasn't fought in some time to my knowledge, bad news Barbie. Yeah, her last fight was actually a loss. So, I mean, why wouldn't she want to run that back? You got one coming off of her first win in a while. You got one coming off her first loss ever to Josiane Nunez. That's a fun fight, dude. Yeah, Bea Malecki. So. Oh, man, that height is wild for Bea Malecki, though. Like, she's so fucking tall, dude.
Yeah, that's why. Like, it's like people easily forget. Even though it was 2 years ago since her last fight, Malecki just has this presence that is known. I mean, it's not out the gate, it's not super aggressive, but it's definitely another character you could add in the mix just so you could see the kind of game that Veronica Hardy will be bringing into it. I mean, yeah, it's been a couple of years, but you said that they don't really see a significant change in their game plan, but just to run it back, have this promo of bad blood, this history to run it back again for these fighters to come up, like that momentum's been riding, if anything else. These narratives on having the best of three is riding out more than the up-and-comer versus the veteran. I mean, obviously, you're going to have those fillers for the main event, for the main card, but just to see best of three, that's what the fans want. That's what the matchmakers need to see, just so, one, they could give the fighters a chance to come back and prove themselves that, yeah, I got knocked down, but I'm coming back even harder. I mean, look at Veronica Hardy, for that matter. So for Malecki to come back and have that statement, it could get another fighter back into the game, and the matchmaking could continue to happen as so.
Absolutely. And I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen, who doesn't love a good David versus Goliath fight?
Thank you.
There's an 8-inch reach or an 8-inch height difference there. Like I remember the first fight, it literally looked like they didn't belong in the same weight class, but Bea Malecki just cut so much weight to make that weight class, being 5'11". She's got to be one of the tallest girls in the division. So
it's like running a video game, man. Like,
it
who
is.
doesn't
It
want to
is.
see that?
She's like a creative fighter. Like, she's so fucking tall.
100%.
I love it. I'm here for it, man. I think that would be a really, really fun fight. Yeah. Little Venezuela versus Stockholm, Sweden action. I'm here for it.
But in regards to current events, I mean, obviously that won't be the type. That's just me reaching there. That's my wild card to say. So, Veronica Hardy to have this kind of performance, who do you see slotted up against?
I mean, that's the thing. The women's flyweight division is really, really an open division. So the toughest thing about the fact that she came out there and she did it not only like to this winner of Ultimate Fighters last season, which provides a lot of recency bias, right? And this sport is one of the best and worst about recency bias. If it's not what have you done for me, it's what have you done for me lately. Very much so. So I really thought that Juliana Killer Miller was going to come out there and do what her nickname says and kill her. And she didn't. She came out there and she got absolutely obliterated. It looked like the submission attempts were like Veronica Hardy was a step ahead of her.
Right.
Every step of the way. And she even said it in the post-fight presser that having Dan Hardy in her corner feels like a cheat code in a video game because he's so smart and well-versed in everything mixed martial arts. So he's coaching her through all these positions. That being said, and the division being what it is, as far as being wide open, I wouldn't be mad at seeing her break a top 15. I don't want to see her get a top 10 by any means, but I wouldn't be mad at all in seeing her face a Cynthia Calvillo, Tracy Cortez, or even the loser of Macy Barber versus Andrea Lee. Because I think the loser of Andrea Lee versus Macy Barber is going to be right on their way out the top 15. And after a performance like that, it's not crazy to say that Veronica could be on her way right into the top 15.
I agree. Seeing Cynthia Calvillo standing at the top, Macy Barber, Tracy Cortez, and Casey O'Neill. But I mean, I won't get out of order here. Before we got.
Oh man, Casey O'Neill, that was a tough performance. We can just go ahead and move in. We'll be gentlemen. We'll do ladies first here.
We'll do ladies first. I like.
Oh man, that fight was heartbreaking. I was so excited to see Casey O'Neill come back. And she said it herself. She had a bad night. She didn't do what she knew she was capable of doing. And I'll be completely honest. This is another time where I was saying this to Mary last night. Like the best thing about this sport and the thing that differentiates it from other sports, for me specifically, like from your NFL, from your NBA, from your MLB, is those guys are playing another team every week. So you're basically like, if the Saints suck on the first, second, and third Sunday of the season, the Saints are probably going to have a shit season. They're going to suck. That's just how the game works. You're not going to see a different team 8 games in than you did 3 games in. That's just not how it works. But in fighting, you will see a different person come in 6 months later, 1 year later, 3 years later. Jennifer Maia looked like a completely different person. That was not, I want to know who figured out cloning and what they did with the original Jennifer Maia, because that wasn't her, dude. That was a boxer.
That was someone who looked.
That was a boxer.
Loose. Oh my goodness, that it was resonating as she was like trying to size her up, level change, shoot. I was also impressed as well.
Like, it's funny because when you watch the fight, it felt like, legitimately, as a Casey O'Neill fan, I felt like it was one-way traffic all day. And then you look at the stats and you're like, oh, I mean, there was only like 20-ish strike difference.
Yeah.
15 strike difference.
8, actually.
Dude, it did not feel that way. It felt like there was 100 strike difference because every time Casey would land one, Jennifer would literally just pepper her up. Bop, 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 bop. And it was so quick and crispy, the entries, like in and out. Again, that version of Jennifer Maia, I think, is a problem.
I know, and you want to root for the athlete to come back. I mean, Casey O'Neill coming back from a torn ACL, that journey in itself for an athlete is its worst nightmare, but she's, living the dream, as we call the 9-to-5ers every day. So she's living the dream. She's in the octagon. She's doing her thing. But like you said, in regards to the football analogy and the comparison, like, yeah, you come back, and it's not too different, especially someone coming off injury. Every athlete coming off injury isn't going to come back and get better. They're going to implement a new game plan. Like what they were working with before is not
That's
there.
what's crazy about Casey is like her coaches and everything were saying that coming back from the ACL, they said that apparently she had been having issues with it beforehand. And then after she got her ACL like completely repaired, etc., they said she was hitting stronger. She was like sitting down on her punches more, etc. So again, to the tune of what you're saying, like typically athletes don't come back. They don't, like, if they do, it's like a change of game plan, which is what we saw, and it didn't go well for her,
right,
in my opinion.
I mean, they had a new game plan. Everything looked great on paper. Everything looked great in training camp. It was good. No issues there. But when it comes to game time, lights may be too bright. Feelings may come back. And I did see a level of comfortability between the two. And obviously, Maya had that upper hand. Like, she just looked comfortable. It was like a home court advantage, so to speak. Like, where did that come from? Like, have she been practicing at O2 for how long now? Is she in that area? Like, she had all these elements with her, and it was not the Maya that we're used to.
No, I feel like even like maybe the game plan that Casey O'Neill had trained with her camp would have worked on the Jennifer Maya we're used to, but Jennifer Maya just walked in there and was like, nah, I got something for you.
Right.
She did the good old Usher, like, watch this.
They came in and they made you look, dog. It was the trickery there was great. I love how it went the full distance because you could see the cardio and conditioning that both of these athletes definitely put in. They definitely, they were catching breath. They were deep, but they were slugging. They were exchanging, like you said, high volume still met. But Casey was consistent, although Maya returned with such high volume. Only an 8-strike difference there. So even though
I still can't believe that.
I know.
I need to rewatch that fight.
We saw a lot more action. Yeah, and if you rewatch the fight, like you see these strikes and they're not as doesn't leave quite the impact as it did with Maya. There was a lot more oohs and ahs from Maya's exchanges rather than Casey O'Neill's initiatives.
Yeah. That being said, I mean that's a big win for Jennifer Maya. Arguably one of the bigger wins of her career. Who do you think she deserves next? Because she's already ranked, and I mean, it's not like she's a scrub. Like, she's not new to this division. She's been here for quite some time. She's ranked number 8 right now. You gotta think that, I mean, not a title shot, but it's gotta bounce her almost into contendership, right?
Definitely contendership. I have a vision for Maya, and I would love to see her against Erin Blanchfield. And Blanchfield is already slotted, unfortunately. So their storylines are happening at 2 different tiers at the moment. So, however, that's a road to cross after a few checkpoints need to be made. The checkpoints being Maya to go through Talia Santos and Blanchfield taking on Alexa Grasso. If Maya were to go through Santos, we get to run 2020 back with Valentina and Maya. And that's the Maya we're used to. Valentina wasn't able to shine as much as she was in 2020 against Maya. I mean, it's very hard to look good against Jennifer Maya. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's even harder to look good against Valentina Shevchenko.
Oh, definitely.
So, I mean, if Jennifer Maya were to go out there, and that's what I wrote down on my paper too, is Taila Santos. I think Taila Santos versus Jennifer Maya is the fight that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And if she were to go out there and get an impressive win like she did over the this last weekend in her fight against Casey O'Neill, King Casey, dude, you have to run it back with Shevchenko. Shevchenko's probably not going to get an instant title match. She's probably going to like work her way up a little bit, refresh the reins. I'm here for it. I think if they run that back, that'd be a really fun fight. And again, like if you look at Jennifer Maya's history, she's only really had 3 big losses in her career, right? Caitlin Chukagian ×2. She's only lost to like 3 big women in her career. Caitlin Chukagian ×2. Valentina Shevchenko, which again, incredibly hard to win against her. And she's one of the few people that actually went to decision against Valentina Shevchenko. Mm-hmm. And then of course, Manon Fior, who is probably the future of the division. So that's not really that much of a red mark on her record, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I think Taila Santos versus Jennifer Maya is the fight to make, and then the winner of that either fights for a title or fights Valentina Shevchenko for a title contender fight.
Mm-hmm. More than likely, I see the contendership coming out with Shevchenko, just because I don't think she's going anywhere anytime soon. She's definitely going to want to hold that as long as she can. Love to see either way to pan out, just because the growth of Maya and Santos is already a clash in itself.
And I mean, Grasso, I think if Grasso and Shevchenko fight again, Grasso had her number. She was piecing her up on the feet. So I don't think it's smart for Shevchenko to take an instant rematch with Grasso either. So I think she should kind of wait off to the sides, wait to see what's next for Jennifer Maya. And if she feels confident that she gets another kind of dominant win over Jennifer Maya, maybe take that fight as her tune-up fight to bounce her right back into a title shot against Alexa Grasso. Yeah, love that. Moving into the men, some of the men here, Gunnar Nelson, my God, he blew the Kinda Okay Parlay apart. He came in, gunnies a-blazing, and he got it done. What a fucking guy, dude.
What a guy.
He's got the 70s porn stash, the bald head, came out there, and I literally told Mary as he was walking up, she was saying, like, this guy looks familiar, and I was like, yeah, he used to train with Conor McGregor. We've seen him fight quite a few times. You know, like, she knows Gunnar Nelson, but she's just like she could tell that, like, she recognizes him for other reasons too, right? Like, and then you see him in the octagon, and he's doing that, like, karate style wide stance, bouncing back and forth, very reminiscent of a featherweight Conor McGregor. And I feel like since he's utilized that wide stance, he's done significantly better in his career. I think if he hadn't decided to have fun and wrestle with the Mountain from Game of Thrones, he probably would be a top 5 ranked fighter already right now in the division. Because stylistically, Gunnar Nelson is not a great matchup for a lot of these welterweights. Like, let's just be completely honest here. I think Khamzat Chimaev would probably get submitted by him. Realistically, like, Khamzat would rush a takedown, and Gunny would probably sub him from the bottom. Yeah, I think the next fight for him isn't necessarily a super obvious one. He is just kind of getting back into the top 15 area, or kind of like stomping grounds. I say we give him somebody that's on the outskirts or on their way down the list. I say we give him a Jorge Masvidal or a Michel Pereira. Like, the guy that tries to do backflips and shit. I think he backflips into a flying heel hook or something, bro. Like,
going back to video game matchups, like, yeah, Gunnar Nelson, I call him Gun Jack. Not necessarily because of his build from Tekken or his stiffness, because that is nowhere near than what we saw in his last fight. But he's Gun Jack, because if you imagine if Gun Jack were to be comfortable on the ground grappling, that's what you get. And then you
he's
look
a machine.
Paper. Yeah, you look on paper of what he does. Rear naked choke, guillotine choke, another rear naked choke. Like, this man is a spider, an anaconda. He will suffocate you. I don't even know if we could even have an animal spirit tied to this man, just because he will literally suffocate you. So he has this kind of quicksand presence as soon as he has a grip on you. And I don't disagree with you when it is to match up against, in the words of Ben Stiller, my assistant, Michel. Because I would love to have this Tekken matchup. Because if you look at Michel, he's doing, what's the word? 5 win streak. Sorry. He's on a 5 win streak with like 3 to 4 backflips in his box stat. So you have your traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner against a video game character, specifically Eddie Gordo, just because you have another Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner and modern day capoeira. Like, run this fight. It'll be exciting, but the tide won't be a back and forth clash. No. I feel like it's definitely going to be one-sided, and someone's going to have to claw their way out of the hole.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it would either be like Michel Pereira comes out firing out of the gates, throws some crazy spinning back wheel kicks or something, and rocks Gunny, and then Gunny has to claw his way back and gets a sub from the bottom. Or he comes out, starts doing some crazy spinning shit, some crazy backflips, and then just eats a Spartan kick or a teep kick that launches him back into the cage, loses his balance, and then gets heel hooked or rear naked choked or anaconda or something. Yeah. I mean, the guy has 13 submissions to his name, which is just absurd. Yeah, just absolutely absurd. He's got arm bars, he's got neck cranks, he's got guillotines, he's got RNCs. Like, you name it, he's probably done it. And the guy literally submitted the Mountain, who holds the Guinness Book of World Records record for being the strongest man alive. So
yes, like,
that's how he broke a few ribs.
Like, he is the master lock of this division at the moment. So if anyone wants to take on the challenge, I believe Michel is probably the first one up to be the one to break this lock.
You imagine being brave enough to body triangle a guy that's like 150 pounds heavier than you? Like, you got to know that even if he tries to roll on you, it's going to break something. Like a rib, a fucking leg, tear some like ligaments, some tendons. I wish he didn't do that.
I know.
But my God, the videos are great. I've definitely watched the videos multiple times, and it's insane. He literally submitted a guy that is A, the strongest man on the planet right now, and B, has no business rolling with a guy as small as Gunnar Nelson in comparison to him.
Nah, not at all. I think there was an article back in 2021 how Gunnar Nelson would keep up with GSP's grappling style, his camp, his surroundings at the moment. Like, they're saying this man could keep up. This young lad with only 5 short of the submissions when this article came out. He was like, oh, he's going to be a grappler. He's known for it. Work will let it tell otherwise. And then lo and behold, neck crank, armbar, guillotine, rear naked choke. this man is pulling out all the bags and the tricks, and I can't wait to see what other submission he has to do in the next match.
Absolutely. All right, we're getting into the main event territory here, the co-main event territory here, the people's main event territory here. Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev was an absolute banger. I don't think Rafael Fiziev lost any stock in his name. I mean, the man was just an absolute beast out there. I stopped breathing multiple times throughout that fight. Just holding my breath, watching like, oh my God, is someone going to go to sleep already? Like, these shots are so loud.
I was getting tired just because when you're watching these exchanges, you kind of, I don't know if it's the same with you, but I kind of sink in with their breathing patterns. So
yes, or I'm like,
yeah.
Like I'm moving around. Like every time he'd throw that freaking like body kick, I swear I would cringe and just hunch over like, oh.
Yeah, phantom pains are so real. Just because once you see it, you're just like, oh, I know what that is, and then your memories start to kick in. So, dude.
You're like, I've been there. Maybe not as hard as that guy just kicked him, but I've been there and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and then as soon as first blood hit, that was like you said, the stocks just go up from there. So you already had action, you had entertainment, you had the traditional exchanges of the two fighters. It just made me more in shock, actually more sad that Gaethje kind of left a statement of, yeah, this is my last run. But I mean, we all want our fighters to last long.
But what a run it'll be, man.
Yeah, like this business is not a nice business. It's unfair, and we've seen Gaethje in the trenches. Like, we had Homer Simpson take episode and episode to see his daily life of things, and it's hard. It's rough. Yeah, he gives us a few smiles. Yeah, he gives us the oohs and ahs. But man, he's letting the people know, like, yeah, this is it. This is going to be the run.
It's honestly crazy. Like, how many UFC fights has he put on? Like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 UFC fights, and he's had at least 11 bonuses. Come on. Like, if he wants to quit tomorrow, bro, I salute you. You've done your job, bro. Like, what a stud. And you've done your job like diligently. Like, even the losses, like his 4 losses in the UFC are Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and Charles Oliveira. Come on.
Not mad at that.
Come on.
Oh, I played the video game, but I lost to the bosses the first try.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no big deal. Everybody loses to those guys. So that being said, I think if we're talking about like what's on the table now, there's a lot of food on the table for Justin Gaethje. A lot of different options and entrees he can choose to eat. That being said, I think the easiest option is Dustin Poirier. A good old rematch with Dustin Poirier. I think it won Fight of the Year whenever that fight happened. I know it won Fight of the Year when it happened last time. And I know it would end up winning Fight of the Year again if it happened again. So 2018 Fight of the Year with Dustin Poirier, 2023 Fight of the Year with Dustin Poirier. I'm not mad at it. That being said, if this is Justin Gaethje's last run, I don't think he beats Dustin Poirier, so I don't want to see that fight for Justin Gaethje's purpose and his soul. What I'd like to see instead, if this is truly his last run for the title, I'd like to see Michael Chandler be, very Michael Chandlery and not shoot a single takedown attempt against Conor McGregor and probably get knocked out at 170. And then Conor McGregor say, you know what? They're going to give me a title shot no matter where I go, so I'll go back down to 155 and I'll go for the title there. So I think Conor gets a win, and then he goes back down and they tell him, all right, you get one win at 155 and you're in a title. You're in a title shot. And that's Justin Gaethje versus Conor McGregor. I think it's a travesty that those two have never fought. Yes. And I think that'd be a fun fight for the fans, for the culture, for the UFC, for everybody. I think everybody wins in that fight.
I think that's the last individual to kind of complete, not the Trinity, but the captains of this division for Gaethje to stand up against. Just because you've had the entertainment of the Diamond, the Eagle. Now you're against, what's funny.
What up, Drew?
St. Patty just checking in. What's up, Drew? Just checking in for McGregor against Justin. Like, I'm pretty sure that matchup has been simulated and played in every video game just because the two styles need to clash and they need to see it happen. Like you said, this is the people's fight. Homer Simpson versus Conor McGregor. Like, come on now.
Conor McGregor. What's up, Adam?
Yo, what's up, Adam? Thanks for tuning in, everybody. But I see it as just that.
It is weird that Drew showed up right as we started talking about Conor McGregor. Sorry. Like, how the hell does that even happen? That's why we call him Mystic Drew, guys.
I think Drew's ear was either ringing. I mean, I'm having a little rain here, so the rainbow must be on his other side. So Drew was like, you know what? Let me tune in. Let me talk about it a little bit. But I'm excited to see the tough kind of roll out. I think it was you that popped up the update that something went down right before we go into something went down.
So there was apparently a little bit of a scuffle. Some egos got heated. Apparently, it started off okay, and then things got very, very messy and aggressive. I don't know if it was like a fight, but like a fight that broke out physically between the coaches and the fighters. But I'd imagine it's going to look something like Chael Sonnen versus Wanderlei Silva. I can't let you get close. Obviously, like one of the best scenes of Tough of all time. Bro, I don't know if you heard me, Drew. Bro, I don't know if you heard me, but I literally said that already, bro. I said Conor beats Chandler at 170 because Chandler's going to do the most Michael Chandler-y thing in the world and not shoot a single fucking takedown. And he's going to get knocked out. I don't think he jumps the line and goes after Edwards, though. If I'm being completely honest, I think he ends up going for the lightweight belt because Edwards is very big compared to Conor McGregor. And I don't think that's a favorable matchup. I think Edwards, especially with the takedown ability now and the takedown defense that he has now, I don't know that Conor has anything for him. Unless Conor goes back in time 6 years and goes back to Karate Conor, I really don't think that fight goes well for Conor at all.
Such a fun time, Karate Conor.
Dude, Karate Stance Conor was like a legend. I hate Conor McGregor, but I would tell you when he fought like that, you bet your ass I was tuning in and I was excited to see what he was going to do.
Hell yeah, my man was quoting Bruce Lee. I was like, yo, he is sound. He is water. He looks great. As soon as he said that, Aldo knockout started hitting, the highlight reel started happening, and then we see the villain arch start to develop a little bit more and more.
We went from Karate Conor to Cocaine Conor real quick.
Dude, yeah, man. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. God damn.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Fuck your couch.
Oh, but man.
So
I would love to see Gagey kind of take on this path that you queued up for him just because this is what people want to see. But, I mean, UFC is going to UFC. So... Diamond it is.
So it's either going to be Diamond, which would make sense, or since UFC is going to UFC, it could also be like a random, like Arman Sarukian.
I know. It's like, come on, Arman Sarukian. I mean, you have RDA right above him in the rankings right now. So if they're going to reach that far for Gagey to come off this...
Wait, have those two never fought?
Who, RDA and
Arman? RDA and Gagey?
I don't
They have never fought.
See? So...
Shit. UFC is going to end up UFCing it up, dude. They're going to do that. I'm not mad at that fight, though.
Not mad at that at all.
Because RDA is like RDA 5-6 years ago would just try and go out there and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu him. But now I feel like RDA like took a couple of like Muay Thai and boxing classes, and his boxing has looked very crispy lately, bro. I'm excited for RDA fights these days. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always been excited for his fights, but much more these days.
Yeah, I mean the neck crank that he had from his last fight against Brian. That was
Barberena?
Yeah, against Barberena. That's exactly like what we expect to see RDA, but I'm trying to see him get a standing knockout based on his striking game, like his repertoire.
I don't know if he'll ever get a standing knockout over Gaethje. That guy's face is made of vibranium. Yes, I'm pretty sure.
That is true, but I would love to see the highlight reel get more of his striking just because his game has grown so much.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that'd be a very, very fun fight. Oh, man, I hate that I actually like that fight.
throw that in there, man.
Shit.
That's in the back of the mind. Gagey has a couple more in him. So now, all right, let's add another player into the game. We have RDA, we have Gagey, or RDA, Diamond, and Conor.
All right, and then if it does end up being RDA or Dustin, I think the winner of that fight has to get title shot. I mean, winner of either all three of those fights.
Yeah.
Colby by decision. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the other message. I was like, what? When did Colby's gonna fight Conor McGregor? Sorry.
Let's see what we have.
JJ Smoke caught me hella off guard. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, Colby would probably win that fight by decision if he fought Conor McGregor or So, okay, question to the chat. Who you got in Colby versus Leon? Honestly, man. If you asked me 2 days ago, I would have said Colby by decision, just like JJ Smoke, just like Drew Toledo. But my brothers and sisters of the fight game, I'm here to tell you about it, okay? that man that fought Kamaru Usman last night, he beats the dude that we haven't heard from in a year that's been radio silent. And not only does he beat him, I think he beats him handily. Because Kamaru Usman broke that guy's jaw. What happens if that dude gets headshotted by Leon Edwards? I don't think it's going to be good, bro. Like, the takedown defense that he showed last night against Kamaru Usman was insane. Arguably, granted, I will tell you, until I'm blue in the face, that I think Colby's a slightly better wrestler than Kamaru Usman. Without looking up anything on Google, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of them was D1 and one of them was D3 whenever they were in their wrestling career, or D2. And the one that was D1, if I'm not mistaken, was Colby Covington. So, again, Colby Covington is a better wrestler overall. And that's probably why Kamaru didn't shoot a single takedown attempt against him whenever they fought. He wanted to keep it standing. So, if they were to fight, would Leon get taken down? Probably. But the ability he showed to get back to his feet would literally make sure and ensure that the end of the fight ended up being exactly what Drew just typed into the chat. Headshot dead. Headshot dead. Headshot dead.
I feel like Drew is trying to embody FPS Doug into Leon Edwards right now with a little bit of boom headshot. Just a little bit like that.
Whoa, hold on. JJ Smoke is coming in with, honestly, like he's really giving truth to the name Smoke here. In my opinion, Colby doesn't even need to take him down. I think he can marab Leon. So you think he can just cardio chaos machine him? You think he can just swarm forward with like takedown attempts and clinch fence work? Or are you saying that like, oh man, because like, here's the thing. We've seen Marab win fights in a couple different ways. We've seen him cardio machine people where he just like bullies them with takedowns that he doesn't even care if he keeps them down. Like his last fight. Or we've also seen him just push forward, land strikes, and get on top and do the lay and pray. And also just land like ground and pound. So the real question, JJ Smoke, is, okay, there we go. Relentless takedowns is what he thinks it's going to be. So not even like landing takedowns, but just pummeling him, keeping him against the cage, not letting him breathe, and not letting him find his distance.
Yeah.
He might be onto something there. What do you think, Jalen?
Just to be the disruptor that he naturally is, yeah, that game plan does sound sound. I mean, Colby Covington is known for that. And to validate your Google search that we did not attempt, as a NCAA Division I All-American and two-time Pac-10 champion, Colby Covington. Division II wrestler competing at 174 pounds, Kamaru Usman, who earned All-American status 3 consecutive years on his way, but only stayed in Division II compared to Colby Covington's Division I. So
how did I remember that?
The game speaks for itself. Like, you see Colby Covington's game, like, that's a D1 wrestler. Kamaru Usman,
his takedown entries are just like, honestly, leaps and bounds better than Kamaru's. Kamaru is one of those guys that looks really good in wrestling, but oftentimes it's not due to technique. It's due more to the fact that he's a physical specimen. I think, and I mean, the back knee also kind of gives truth to it. He looks like he might be on the juice. Marty Juiceman, you know. I don't know. Maybe Chaos Covington is right with those accusations, but I digress.
And I think we did see a comment from Jew here. Did he say a knockout somewhere? I think I barely caught that. What was the comment there?
So he said, I agree with JJ. Colby didn't get his jaw broken until the 5th. Completely even fight before then. I got to say, I agree and disagree. I don't even think it was an even fight before then. I think Kamaru was losing that fight. I actually went back and rewatched that fight about a month ago, and I scored 3 rounds for Colby. So, I mean, Kamaru really needed that stoppage, in my opinion. There was one of those rounds that was razor thin, but I did think Colby did just enough to win it. And, I mean, that being said, in the rewatch, and that was my 3rd time rewatching that fight at least, and I will tell you this, as a Mark Goddard fanboy, he made mistakes reffing that fight. There was a big-time shot to the body that Usman faked to the nuts and got time to recover. Fight could have been different if he didn't get that time to recover. He also, was it the eye poke that he faked as well, and then he was like holding the wrong eye or whatever. Like, there was a lot of inconsistencies in that fight with Usman, and again, kind of like Bisping said last night, I disagree with what Bisping said when he said like he should be focusing more on the fight. Who cares if your opponent's cheating? You should be focusing on, beating him up. If your opponent's cheating 4 times, you should be upset about that. You should definitely call foul. But we've seen Usman call foul when there's no foul, so it gets old. I could see why Bisping gave way to that commentary that he did last night. I don't think it was biased so much as it's like this guy cries wolf quite often. And just he should focus on fighting. Don't let your opponent do things. Beat the fuck out of him.
Right.
So how do you see that fight going?
With
Leon Edwards
Covington?
versus the Chaos Covington.
Honestly, I like what the folks are saying, like ruthless aggression, just relentless takedowns. Usman Edwards third should have been a draw.
I'm not with that. I actually had it 4-1 if you don't take the point away.
No, let's go on Drew's comment. It should have been a draw.
Yeah, let's talk about that in the chat.
Hold
what
on.
do you think? Did you score that fight last night for Leon Edwards, or did you score that fight last night for Kamaru Usman?
And the way that you scored it, MMA, you had it 4-1.
If you don't take away the point, if you don't deduct the point for the fence grab, I had it 4-1.
Okay, I'm
I
curious,
literally
Drew,
had that
what did
fight
you have it
4-1.
scored while Olin brings up his points here. I would love to see how you scored it, Drew. JJ Smoke, give us your 2 cents as well too. But you saw 4-1. Don't count the fence grab. How did the momentum kind of carry that for your score?
For my score, I mean, realistically, the momentum was the fact that the only dominance Usman showed in that entire fight was pressuring forward on octagon control. And octagon control, if we're talking about scoring a fight, he definitely did cheat 4 times, Drew. I completely agree with you. But if you don't take points away for those things, which they only took 1 point away in 1 round, then he won that fight at least 3-2. I thought 4-1 rounds. So that being said, if you look at the strikes, if you look at everything that happened, it was 120-87 in significant strikes, and it was 123-113 in total strikes, all in favor of Leon Edwards. Also, you have a guy in Kamaru Usman who has one of the highest takedown accuracies in the UFC and some of the best takedown defense in the UFC. That guy went 4 for 15 on takedowns. So I completely agree with JJ Smoke. 1, 2, 4, and 5 were Leon's rounds. In round 1, he controlled the pace, showed dominance, and made sure that Usman hurt whenever he was coming into distance and into range. In round 2, Usman started to look a little bit better. His gas tank came back for him, and he looked good. But again, the most dominant things he did in rounds 2 and 4 were octagon control, pushing forward, even if it meant eating punches, eating kicks. Every time he'd move forward, if he'd land 1 or 2 punches, he'd eat 3 or 4. And the punches and kicks that he was eating, they were big shots. The thing is, when you're watching a fight, if I punch you in the face 1 time and you go, ugh, and you kick me in the face, or you kick me in the body like 5-6 times, but I have a good poker face, if we have 5 buddies that are equally friends with both of us, they think that I'm winning the fight because I hit you in the face. Maybe your lip's bleeding. I could see how people watching the fight think Kamaru won rounds because he was going to the head nonstop. Leon was doing work to the body, to the legs.
Working.
Bro, he put in work
Not
on the
only
body.
went to the body, the legs, just the full scope of it. His takedown defense, totally different compared to his last bouts. I mean, he was definitely prepared. They came with the right game plan. And just to see the rounds 1 and 4, to your point, 42 or 28% to Kamaru Usman, but then you look at the tide turn, and then you have 88% of landed, 75%, and those are all from Rocky. Like, you see the size. He took advantage of that distance. He took advantage of the game plan that Usman was taking in regards to utilizing the full octagon and pressing and having that poker face on there. But no, Rocky put in work, and he scored the points that he needed.
100%. And again, Drew just said here, total strikes don't matter when you're going round by round. You win a round by 20, still 1 round. So, okay, facts. I agree with you. I'm not going to argue with you. But let's go through the numbers, shall we? Round 1, 20-12, Leon Edwards. Round 2, 23-24. Oh, by the way, Leon Edwards is the one that landed 1 strike less, but he landed at an 88% accuracy clip of significant strikes compared to 48% of Kamaru Usman's. Come on. And Kamaru Usman got a takedown and only established 45 seconds of control time. Trash. So then you look at round 3, okay? 24-17, Leon Edwards. They threw the same number of strikes. 75% clip to 53% clip. Round 4, 25-14, 60% accuracy to 37% accuracy. Let's go into round 5, shall we? 28 to 20, 77% accuracy to 45% accuracy. That being said, there wasn't a single round that Kamaru had an answer for what Leon was bringing forth. Mm-hmm. I was being generous by giving the guy a round, guys. I'm going to call a spade here and say Leon beat the brakes off of Kamaru Usman, and he made Kamaru Usman realistically look like he wasn't hungry in there last night. That wasn't the Kamaru Usman that beat him the first time. That wasn't the Kamaru Usman that almost beat him the second time. That was a Kamaru Usman who got knocked out and realistically needs to go back to work, go back to the drawing board, and possibly go to a new training camp. Mm-hmm. I love Trevor Whitman to death, but maybe he's plateaued under the tutelage of Trevor Whitman. Because his takedowns haven't gotten any sharper. And Trevor Whitman is a great boxing coach, but I mean, yeah, we saw Justin Gaethje shoot for his first takedown attempt in the UFC and his second takedown attempt in the UFC, and he got a takedown, and even he said, I finally got my takedown. Now you guys can shut the fuck up. Like, that's not great. Like, that guy is a collegiate wrestler. Why is he not using that? This is your last title run? Use your double leg. It's great. Kamaru Usman, like, if this is your last title run, I don't know. As biased as I am, I'm going to say it again on another episode. Maybe go to AKA, work on those takedowns. Let DC ragdoll you a little bit. Like, I guarantee you if he does that, he comes back and destroys Leon. He comes back and destroys a lot of people. Thank you, Eric. They were ugly attempts. Bro, I could shoot a better blast double than he tried. I could shoot a better single leg than he tried. He had his head placement on the wrong side when he was trying for a single leg half the fucking time. What are you doing? Like, as a fan of the game and as somebody who, like, I really like Usman as a fighter. I think he's as entertaining as a cardboard box outside of the octagon and in interviews, but I love his fights. I think he's fantastic. But, I mean, I agree, JJ, he shot way less in the rematch. Mm-hmm. And he also shot less efficiently. Mm-hmm. I think if he shoots, like, if you're kind of like what JJ said earlier, right, about robbing him. If you're going to shoot these sloppy half-wing takedowns, you've got to shoot twice as many of them. 14 ain't going to cut it. You got to shoot 28 times.
Keep shooting. Shoot or shoot, man. Shoot or shoot. And like you were saying, that headshot, I feel like, may have rocked him just because he had that in the back of his mind. Like, okay, my primary game plan didn't happen. I did get clipped once. But to have his natural game get disrupted by this thought of, oh shit, the headshot's coming in, that's what forced those forced takedowns. Those weren't comfortable takedowns. They weren't efficient. They weren't strategic. They weren't calculated. These were just obviously reactive of, oh shit, I don't want to get hit, but I got to get in there anyway. So it took Usman to find some time to get into his groove, but man, Leon was just riding that wave the whole fight through.
100% agree. I mean, and going back to what Drew just said here, like, swarming the hand side where Usman was shooting was genius. No answer for it. I agree. There were two things that I thought Leon did really, really well in this fight that he obviously learned and implemented in this fight versus in the previous fight. And that is doing the double up. So we call it baseball grip, right? You're grabbing the one hand or wrist like a baseball bat. I don't care how strong you are. If I grab one of your hands with two of mine, I'm stronger than you in that position, bud. I'm going to beat you. And then once he did that, like, he tried doing things like that in the first fight, I believe, even, and in the second fight for sure. But it's one of those things where, like, if I tell you the best move to make in tic-tac-toe to start a game, but I don't tell you anything else, you're probably going to lose 9 out of 10 times if you don't know how to play tic-tac-toe, right? And that's what was happening in the first two Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards fights, is he would do the right thing first. He'd make the right first move, and then he, kind of like in Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, his coaches taught him how to defend the takedown, but they didn't tell him what to do after he defends the takedown, and then his opponent transitions into a different form of takedown, an ankle pick. Here, we got it, and then all of a sudden, it's like, I did the right thing. Now what?
Now what?
That was literally, like, I've seen it happen in so many fights, but that's the best way to put it, right? Like, he was doing the right thing first, and then he'd freeze up, and he's like, oh shit, what do I do? We even saw Dustin Poirier do it when he went against Khabib in Abu Dhabi. And I've never seen Poirier do that. He's fucking genius. He's like a 2 straight black belt, I think, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you see these guys do these things, and I don't care how good you are, unless you've drilled it 1,000 times and against the right opposition, it doesn't matter. So realistically, when you see him doubling up that baseball grip, there's an obvious next step. But if you don't know it, you're oblivious to it. It's not obvious at all, right? And then that guy can be like, okay, cool. He's got this one hand. Now all I have to do is take my other hand and lift this leg, and he'll be off balance because he's leaning so far forward. This time around, the second Leon would double up on that head side, he'd grab it, and then he'd circle out, kick off the cage, hip off the cage, shrimp away from him, right? And again, same thing when he'd get on top of him this time. Usman's ability to hold him down this time was not there. It was non-existent. And there was an absolute reason for that. And it's because Leon Edwards now knew the right things to do. He'd backwalk, get his way up, work his way up to the cage. And then once he'd get there, boom, he's back up. And the second he's back up, just like Drew said, right? He's swarming the head side, grabbing that same hand, that same wrist with both hands, baseball grip, circling out, kicking off the cage, and then boom, typically making him pay for it too. On the exit, quick kick to the leg, cheeky kick to the body, quick little elbow on the inside, slicing. Like, that was the best version of Leon Edwards we've ever seen.
I agree with you. Like, the way that he carried himself throughout the match and the way that he performed, the stats on paper and in the octagon, yeah, that's a champion right there.
100%. Like, the fact that he went a 25-minute fight against somebody that we're saying was one fight away from being in the conversation of being the GOAT, even if it's just the GOAT of welterweight, but it's not. We were saying he's 1 or 2 fights away from being in the conversation of being the GOAT. And this guy just beat him twice.
Yeah.
And he landed at a 74% clip on significant strikes over this guy, who was supposed to be able to go in and dominate him and wrestle fuck him. The teep kick was also genius. I agree, bro. That teep kick was nasty. And the way that he was looping that kick into the body, he was setting it up the same way I used to in sparring. Whenever I have somebody that's really, really good at like keeping their hands glued to their head, you just pepper the legs for like 3 to 5 minutes. Maybe a little more if they're real tuned to it. But then after like 5, 6, 7, 8 of those leg kicks, those body kicks, they start dropping their hands. Every time they see your leg twitch, they're like, and then that's when you catch him over the top. And he hit him. But this time, again, he was half guarded both times he hit him. And going back to one of the Drew's other messages here, DC kept saying, it's hard to finish the takedown when the hands aren't clasped together. Bro, there were 2 times where Kamaru clasped his hand together and still didn't get the takedown. That is incredible takedown defense from Leon Edwards. The fact that he was able to break the clasped hands and get out, like literally circle out, find his way to get out, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Oh, dude, I tweeted that as soon as that happened, the handgun in Usman's face, because in the first fight, that's exactly what happened. Usman walked up to him, did the whole like in his face and shit. And this time he's all bah, 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 bah. It's like, I'm going to get you just like last time, bro. Keep going. Yeah, I thought it was a beautiful performance top to bottom, other than the cheating. Definitely needs to work on those instincts for sure. And I agree with Drew. Please don't give the title shot to Gamebred Masvidal. He can actually win it. I would fucking hate that because he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it at all. Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about
play
that.
Out. Yeah, let's play it out.
Let's play out that.
All right, so we had Dana White.
Let's go, Aso. Who do you think is next?
I mean, when Dana White announced it's going to be Kobe Covington, that's pretty much it. Okay, that makes sense. Great, cool. But I'm not gonna lie. 2019 was a very exciting year. And I want to see the beef that happened at O2 Arena with Jorge and Leon in a promo. I really want to see that. That three-piece
with a soda.
It still echoes till this day. So I would love to see Jorge to go against you, Drew. I don't mean to step on your toes here, but that would be, a UFC's kind of dream. You have this bad blood. You have, the a la Conor McGregor buildup of the outside beef going into the octagon kind of thing. Like, that's your ideal promo. But ideally, Ole, I think you brought this up earlier, or actually in the last fights, you spoke very highly of Bilal. You really did.
Big fan. What can I say? It's hard, he's hard to forget when you remember the name. Bilal Muhammad has done every single thing a man can possibly do to deserve a title shot in the division. He has beat a who's who, and even when faced with, hey, we know that you've beaten a who's who. You beat Stephen Thompson. You beat Vicente Luque after no one thought you were going to beat Vicente Luque. And you beat Damian Maia and, all these other guys. Oh, we're going to feed you an undefeated up-and-comer in Sean Brady. And what does he do? He says, oh, you guys think I'm boring? Let me knock this up-and-comer out who's never been beaten. Let me finish him with my hands. So personally, I think he should change his name to Bilal. Remember the hands, Muhammad.
Hands.
Dude, like those hands are rated E for everyone. Anyone can get it, and I think it should be Leon. They did already have one fight, but I don't know if you remember that fight ended in a no contest accidental eye poke 18 seconds into round 2. So I realistically think that that's the fight to make. But like you said, we already know it's going to be Colby Covington, even though it shouldn't be. And now they're saying that Bilal Muhammad is going to fight Khamzat Chimaev at 170, and that's going to be the title contender fight. Again, I don't agree with that. Why are you giving a title contender shot to a man who missed weight by 9 pounds in his last outing? So, like, how do you see it? Who do you think realistically? We know it's Colby Covington, but who do you think deserves the shot?
Who deserves it? Who deserves to be on standby? Is my position agreeing with you? It should be Bilal Muhammad. I mean, currently on a 4-win streak after the no contest, and guess what? Before that, he was already on a 4-win streak. So give the man his shot. Let him be the next man up. Because
apologies. You're right. It was Bilal versus Shavkat, which still doesn't make sense. I don't think that they should feed Bilal the Shavkat. Fuck.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know why they're gatekeeping Bilal to be the new gatekeeper at this point. He deserves to be up here in conversation into this new narrative because the Jorge, the Leon, the Covington, like, I think we've heard this for many years now. So we're going to run it again, and I get it. They need to settle it, whatever it is, cool. But you have all these other guys bringing something to the table that these 3 fighters don't have.
100%. Like he has a who's who resume. Dude, I agree, JJ. I fuck with Bilal. I love Bilal.
Yo, JJ, give him the smoke, baby. God,
dude, like I love it. I love it, dude. But Bilal can be the best gatekeeper of all time, and I think that Bilal could be the man to hand Shavkat his first loss. Like, let's talk about the fact that Bilal was not supposed to beat Vicente Luque, and he did it pretty handily across 5 rounds. He beat him across 25 minutes. And then nobody bet on Sean Brady except maybe myself on DraftKings. Nobody bet on Bilal going against Sean Brady. And I did. I didn't think he was going to get the knockout, but I thought he was going to rack up some fucking points from takedowns and control time. And he went out there and he got the knockout. I think realistically, like, Bilal back in the day was already good. Again, like, he was beating the Tim Means of the world back in 2017. I mean, Curtis Millender entered the UFC and was supposed to be like a big deal, and he destroyed him in a decision. Like, people forget him because he's a decision guy, right? I don't know if you remember that guy that, like, was it Lyman Good that came in and was like a freaking just tank looking guy? He looked like an animated character, and Bilal Muhammad goes in there and literally looks like a Wish.com fighter and beats the hell out of him. Seriously, dude. Like, this guy, like, hold on, let me share my screen. Let me show you this guy right now, because he's insane looking. Like, I remember when they announced this fight, and I was like, that's not fair. This guy's fighting Bilal, and Bilal just absolutely handled this man. I don't even remember if this guy still fights or not now, but Bilal sent him packing. So again, every time I think Bilal should be counted out, he makes me wish I bet on him. So I will probably bet on him. Again, like, Bilal's gym change was genius. Did what Kevin Lee couldn't blossom into with TriStar. Completely agree.
Wow, yeah.
And again, like, I think that he can beat Shavkat. They're very different fighters, but they're also very similar fighters, right? Like, Shavkat is a wrestler by nature, but he also has good hands. I would have told you that he has better hands than Bilal if I hadn't saw Bilal's last fight. Now I don't know. Like, realistically, Bilal could probably knock him out. And his best 2 wins, him being Shavkat, are over Jeff Neal and Neil Magny. I mean, realistically, I think having wins over Sean Brady, Vicente Luque, and Stephen Thompson are a little bit better than that as far as strength of schedule, strength of resume. But again, we all know MMA math doesn't necessarily work. Right. So I am excited to see that fight. Who do you think wins that one? Shavkat or Bilal?
I feel that Bilal has momentum to ride it. It's just Shavkat is also in the untouchable bid. Like, the resume speaks for itself. You have notable wins against Jeff Neal and Neil Magny, but then you look at the other 2 decisions before that, not decisions, but how the results were made. You have knockout spinning hook kick and punches on Carlston Harris, and then you have a submission rear naked choke, and then before that you have another submission and another TKO and another TKO. Like, this man can bring
every fight is a finish for Shavkat.
Yeah, exactly. He can finish, and he could definitely bring it to the table. But the thing is, how many more tests are you going to give Bilal? How many more times?
That's what's not fair about it.
Right. Like, he's done his test. He's done his due. Yeah, the whole eye poke thing kind of messed up the narrative for the top contenders at the time. But, okay, he has 4 other wins, and now he has to go and wait for this championship bout of Edwards and Covington to kind of die out, and that's going to be, what, another year?
Yeah.
It's just too much time for a fighter like Bilal.
It's too much. Like, could you imagine being at a company for, what, like 9 years, 8 years? And some guy that just now joins the company in the same position that you started in 8 years ago, joins the company a year and a half ago, and they're like, we kind of like this guy better. We're gonna give him the promotion instead of you.
Right.
That's what's happening here.
So if they were to fight, yeah, I hope Bilal gives him a 3-piece combo, but at the same time, Shavkat has the ability to take that away from him. So this is your up and coming, I hate to say vet at this time because Bilal hasn't been in the light that he deserves, but this may be the fight to happen to finally solidify the position that Bilal needs to be in.
This is one of those great vet versus rookie fights, in my opinion. Oh man, that's a really, really good one. That's a really, really good one.
I do like that. But I mean, we have to watch Leon and Kobe end up happening again. And then you have Jorge Masvidal up and coming fight.
He's fighting Gilbert Melendez, right?
He's fighting.
Or sorry, Gilbert Burns. I said Gilbert Melendez.
I heard Gilbert. Yeah, I heard Gilbert, and I was like, yes. Wait a minute, hold on.
Gilbert Melendez is a fighter. He just doesn't fight anymore.
Yeah, I was like, which UFC game you playing, dog?
He had a great, memorable fight with Diego Sanchez. One of the best finishes to round 1 and round 3 you'll ever see in a fight. You should definitely check that out.
Yeah, the history is just rolling, and then that log came up all of a sudden. But no, yeah, you definitely have Burns against Jorge Masvidal, and Jorge, the businessman. Actually, he's been kind of quiet. He's been kind of dark ever since the whole Kobe Covington incident back then. Had that beef. That's why Kobe went dark. And with Kobe being dark, like what his game plan is going to bring for Leon this time around, we don't know yet. Man. And then next week we have Ultimate Bangers coming up, man. Oh God. Marlon Chito Vera versus Corey Sandhagen. We're finally getting that one. Like that alone is worth watching a fight card. And then before that, you got Nate the Train Landwehr going against Austin Lingo, Andrea KGB Lee against Macy Barber, Alex Perez going against Manel Kopp. You got one of the Nchukwani brothers, Chitty, going in against Albert Duraev. Oh man, yeah, there's a lot of good fights. Yeah, we got work to do to figure out the Kinda Okay Parlay and some side bets for this one, guys, because there's a lot to love here. There's a lot to love here. I am sad that the original Nate Landwehr fight fell off. He was actually going to get a real test against Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres. But man, wait, what are you talking about here, JJ? Next week's card is so bad, it's free. Bad,
JJ. Free. Come on. That's not the smoke we're looking for. What's bad about it? Please tell me what's bad. Like, I get that it's weirdly layered. Like Holly Holm versus Yana Kunitskaya being co-main event, that doesn't make a ton of sense. And I mean, we had 2 canceled fights. Liang Na versus Brogan Walker, not really super huge upset about that. And Alex Caceres versus Nate Landwehr. They did find a replacement for Nate Landwehr, so that's going to be a banger no matter what. But I mean, come on, man. The rest of this fight is pretty solid. I feel like the prelims don't have a ton of notoriety in the names, but those cards are probably going to deliver. Not a lot of boring wrestling matches or anything like that for the casuals out there. Probably a lot of finishes in this fight card. And again, like even the ladies fights, which I know some of you guys are not super into for whatever reason, like Andrea KGB Lee and Macy Barber. Like I know Andrea Lee personally. We used to wait tables together back at Shogun Steakhouse in Bossier City. Let's go.
Hey-o.
And her and Macy Barber always go out there to put on a performance, put on a show. Even though half the time Macy Barber looks like she's shadowboxing with a ghost out there. Should be a good fight. And again, Nate Landwehr, Austin Lingo. Nate always comes out to finish people. I'm sorry, it's true, dude. She does look like she's fucking shadowboxing a ghost out there. She's like, ha, 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 ha. and she's like 8 feet away from her opponent. I don't understand what Macy Barber's doing, wasting the cardio. But jokes must be made about it. And for our official fight breakdown card of that, I'm literally gonna have to make a compilation clip of her just shadowboxing ghosts.
Would love to
with
see
funny
that.
music.
See that nice little bit.
So
of
yeah.
Askren.
Oh, dude. Askren hitting the heavy bag, like.
That's what
the
I
worst
imagined.
boxing.
That's what I imagined you saying. Shadow boxing with the ghost. I was like, oh, there goes that clip again. Boxing Ben. Here we go.
So JJ Smoke said they would have to pay me to watch it. Holmes is 40.
Home is 40, and
She has no reason to be co-main. I agree with you. She has no reason to be co-main. Nate the Train should have stayed the co-main. Nate the Train should have stayed the co-main.
They're reaching, Dr. Seuss. I will tell you that. I mean, they're both coming off 2 wins, 1 loss. How many times do you have to lose before you change the nickname? I mean, it's a fair point.
Hold on. The real question is, Drew, what do you want her to change her nickname to? Right now, it's the future. Do you want her to change her nickname to the past? Or what the fuck?
Or stay in present? Because, I mean, they're around. They're just around now.
I mean... Oh, did we bring up Muhammad Makhayev tapping yet? Jesus Christ. And yeah, I literally was thinking I'm going to speed up the Benny Hill music. Swear. For the compilation. Dude. Muhammad Makhayev and his knee basically breaking and him not tapping and then submitting another man, and not only submitting him, but then wobbling to his feet only to climb up the fucking cage to celebrate. Bro, you got one leg. Why are you climbing the cage? What's wrong with you? Like, come on. Don't save yourself from breaking anything else in there. Great performance, but stupid performance in a way, because I think it may end up taking years off his career. It possibly could alter the future of his career forever. I mean, like you've torn your ACL, right?
Mm-hmm. ACL and meniscus, and just to have that go through and recover and try to come back the person that you were before injury already has that thought in your mind, and it kind of like holds you back a little bit. Even though, yeah, you come back stronger and you get to rewire, like there's a silver lining to everything here. But the risk that he took in regards to, that cost benefit risk ratio, you can look at it however you want. That was a very risky decision and definitely cut the longevity of his career, even though it was very impressive to get that neck crank out. There it is. Like, I mean,
a knee's not supposed to bend that way, ladies and gentlemen.
Nah, if you were to rotate this symbol, you definitely make your own Nike sign at this point. Like, it's not supposed to swoop. Is that confirmed? Is it? I mean, obviously ligament damage, but
there's nothing confirmed yet that I've seen online. I'm waiting for any kind of articles to come out, but there's been nothing that's come out yet. But I don't know if you watched the post-fight presser, his interview. He literally said, I was going to let him break the knee. Every time he would pull and crank, I could hear and feel stuff crackling. That's disgusting, bro.
Not a great feeling as a fighter in the round, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Bro, what he said, I am flexible. Dude, I almost spit out my fucking drink, bro. It was so, like, the timing on it was so good. He said, I am flexible, bro. Yeah. And if you weren't before, you are now. Probably in ways you didn't even realize.
Definitely
it was
playing with an action figure, and the action figure actually broke the wrong way and was like, oh, well, that's a new feature on my figure.
I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't could do that at all.
Dude, honestly, like, yeah. Muhammad Makhayev is just, man. Yeah, he's an absolute stud. He's an absolute beast. He literally said he was going to let him break it. And I mean, it's crazy. Like, you could tell that his opponent gassed himself out, gassed that arm out trying to pull it. And why wouldn't he, right? Like, if you're him, you're pulling on someone else's limb, bending it a way it shouldn't bend, and you hear and feel it crackling in between you, like in between your hands, your legs. Mm-hmm. And you have to think, like, okay, cool. I'm literally breaking this man's bones. He's going to quit. Mm-hmm. And then you end up getting choked out or cranked out. Like, it's funny because Makhayev wasn't even under the chin when he won. He was literally, I told Mary as soon as he got his arm around him, I was like, he doesn't need to be under the chin. He's going to just basically threaten to break this kid's neck. Mm-hmm. And he started spinning his fucking head around. So it's like, he basically told him, like, hey, my knee's pretty flexible. Let's see how flexible your neck is. Mm-hmm. Are you the exorcist? Because if not, you're going to tap.
It's definitely one of those TikToks where it's like you're against a white belt and then you're against that brown belt, or what other elite practitioner in the gym. It's like, okay, good job, you broke it. That's what you're supposed to do. Let's go. And like he definitely went there. He saw the finish in his head. He saw the finish and then it's basically like, all right, I have this in the bag. But at the same time, it's like, oh, he survived it. Now what? So we're seeing.
Yeah.
We definitely saw a lot of that in the car yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of people emptying the bag and thinking that like it's going to get it done. And then when it doesn't get it done, you literally have that moment of, crap. What now?
Never been here before. Yeah.
Did they? This isn't how this was supposed to go. This isn't what my coaches told me was happening. Like, because his coaches were like, yeah, his leg's breaking. Pull it. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, yeah, it's breaking. I can feel it cracking.
Yep.
And then he gets up.
Still playing the game.
Yeah. It's like, the end credits just rolled, but there's another boss fight? What's happening? This is a weird game. So I agree with JJ Smoke here. So he said he wanted to see Mikhaev versus Hadley because Jake Hadley said he wanted to fight him after he obliterates his opponent. Mm-hmm. And he literally said, like, he went against Malcolm Gordon, took him 3 rounds to beat him. I'm going to beat him in 1. He went out there and killed Malcolm Gordon, bullied him. And that's after Malcolm Gordon missed weight by 3.5 pounds too. So he said he's not fighting down. I think that's a great idea because Mikhaev has ambitions to be a younger champion in the UFC than John Jones was. He only has about a year and a half left to do that. And that's not going to happen if he's fighting people that are making their UFC debuts. So next fight for him should definitely be someone that's ranked. I think he should get somebody that's actually highly ranked, if I'm being completely honest. And like, why wouldn't he? The guy is an absolute beast. He's already in the top 15 himself. He's number 12. Mm-hmm. I feel like he should, like, it's not crazy to say that he should get a, if we want to be like nice to him, maybe we give him like the winner of, or the loser of Manel Kape versus Alex Perez. That way it's like a kind of builder for him. If we want to like really throw him into the deep water, Kai Kara France has been on kind of a skid recently. And I think Mateus Nicolau would probably be willing to take a fight down. Mm-hmm. Those are number 5 and number 3 ranked people in that division. And I think that would be very, very fun. JJ thinks that Hadley would derail his hype train and that Mikhaev is still mediocre at best. Giving true meaning to the name Smoke. I gotta disagree. I don't think he's mediocre at best. I think he's an incredibly skilled kickboxer and wrestler that is still, kind of wet. He's fresh. He's not ready. He's young. He's very young. He's like 21. He's a child. He's literally a child. So that being said, slow burn him, slow roll him. I don't think that they should give him like super, super crazy fighters. Like I said, give him ranked opponents though. He should be fighting ranked opponents. He shouldn't be fighting not nobodies, but like people that are making their debut. It's almost just a disservice to those people, right?
I'm surprised you're going that high when you name dropped Nicolau and Kai Kara France.
Well, I mean, he's already number 12. And I'm saying if he wants to become champion by the time he's like 22, 23, he has to get those.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe give him like Tim Elliott doesn't have a fight booked. That's 11 versus 12.
He just got a dub. His last fight, or not just got a dub, but his last fight was a dubski and hasn't had a fight scheduled in a while. So we both, I said Edwards on Edwards versus Covington. What did you say on that one? Edwards versus Covington. I also have Edwards against Covington.
We got Edwards. Edwards, boys. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Dana Ferguson. Thanks.
Dana Ferguson. That's a great name. Dana Ferguson.
Although I'm rooting for Kobe, I am. I always love to see a fighter bounce back even harder, stronger, just to give that adversity to the champion. I always root for that underdog. But at the same time, Leon Edwards has showcased something that we did not. I didn't expect to see that kind of defense, that kind of level from Leon Edwards yesterday against Usman. So I'm just excited of what he can do. Kobe Covington, he needs to pull out a lot more tricks than what we've seen before, just like how Leon Edwards has grown to show his growth, development, and overall game from yesterday's fight.
Real quick, I have to address something that Drew said here. He said Kai on a skid. His only losses in 4 years are against the champ. Fair. But at the same time, his only wins in 4 years are against Rogerio Bontorin, who hasn't looked great at all recently. He's actually lost 4 out of his last 5, and the other one is a no contest. And the other one's over Cody Garbrandt, which I'm not going to drag him through the mud on this show because I'm a fan, but enough said. And the other one's against Askar Askarov, who looked phenomenal up until that fight, but then retired. So maybe he already had a foot out the door. We know that he has health issues. He is also like one of the only deaf fighters that we've ever seen in there. So again, his most notable wins aren't really that notable. Again, like before that, if you look back even further, we got Mark De La Rosa. That's pretty solid. Raulian Paiva got cut. Elias Garcia got cut. Zhao Shi never made it to the UFC. So as a Kai Kara France fan, he's one of those guys that has basically had a very, very nicely managed path to the top 5. And he not only lost to the champ, he lost to the champ twice. So
all Brandons, actually, just all Brandons.
All Brandons. Yeah, Brandon. Anybody named Brandon just beats his ass. Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royvale. Any more Brandons can get it. Auckland. Oh, wait. Tim Elliott does have a fight? Who's Tim Elliott fighting? That's news to me. I did not know Tim Elliott had a fight. What the F?
Here, let's go into the books here.
Oh, he's fighting Alan Nascimento. That just got announced. You're right. That got announced like a few weeks ago, I think. At the Apex. Good old Apex. Everybody loves an Apex card.
All right.
See, and again, like Alan Nascimento, like, is that guy even ranked? I don't know, dude. I don't think he's ranked. He's not ranked, is he? No, he's not.
Also 31. Nope.
So again, like they're giving Tim Elliott, who's number 11, to an unranked guy. So why wouldn't you take number 12, who just had an impressive win, and give him like number 6 or number 7?
Which, mind you, this unranked guy did beat Hadley by decision unanimously. That was back in May 14, 2022. But glad to know that Tim Elliott does have a scheduled fight. So it looks like they're already pacing Tim Elliott to go a certain way. So, Olin, I think your prediction may be right that they will take a top contender to match up with him.
I think the loser of that fight, the loser of, what is it? I think it's Alex Perez versus Manel Kape is the next one. I think the loser of that fight would be a really good test for Muhammad Mokaev, and they'll probably be hovering right around top 10 ranking territory. He beats the loser of that fight, and then maybe you pole vault them into a Kai Kara France, or if Alessandra Pantoja ends up getting like handily beaten up by Brandon Moreno, maybe you give him to Brandon Moreno. Or you give him to...
Just go straight. Go straight to Moreno.
just give him a title fight. Fuck it. I think he's ready. No, don't give him a title fight. I think he gets a crab beat out of him. Bruno Silva versus Muhammad Mokaev. I don't think Bruno Silva is ranked though. Oh, you know what? Just kidding. He literally just broke into the top 15 this week. He's 15. Really? So that'd be fighting down for Muhammad. Muhammad said he doesn't want to fight down anymore. So I don't know if he'd take that fight. 15 versus 12. And the fact that Bruno just broke into the rankings, be a hard sell for him.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a pretty tough sell. So, I mean, yeah, there's so many good fights to make coming up. We could go on all day here with you guys, but I don't want to take up your whole Sunday. You know, we got to save some of that for the Lord. And I appreciate you for coming on here, Aso. I look forward to having you on in the future. I hope to see you more often. And ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, fight fans of all ages, you can bet your ass we're going to lock in some pretty darn good posts, or at least some kind of okay picks for the Kinda Okay Parlay this week. Kind of okay. Not perfect. Okay. Not the best, but kind of okay. Kind of okay parlay.
Then we'll get spicy a little bit later.
Maybe throw some side bets in there for you people. I know I'm going to be doing some side bets. I actually am excited about the card this week. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and call it a day, you guys. Again, appreciate you all for being here. Aso Akiro, make sure you guys give him a follow. You want to give the shout out for the Twitters and all that stuff?
Yes. Everything can be located currently at j.brandon. On Twitter and Instagram. You will definitely see the post between MMAnomaly and our, one leader captain right over here, Olin. So make sure you stay tuned, comment, like, and subscribe down below. I think you have it here, or you have it here, or you have it down here, wherever the button may be. Go ahead and click that, mash that, and we will see all of you folks next time. Thanks again for having me, Olin. I will definitely see you sometime in the near future right behind this screen.
Let's go. Again, like, comment, subscribe, smash that bell for notifications, and we will see you all next time. Probably Wednesday, maybe Thursday. I don't know. Either way, we'll see you sometime this week with more picks and more laughs. See you then, guys.
JJ,
Peace.
Drew, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in.
Woo! Let's go, guys.